page Lamed, the line just below the little Chav Gimel. The line, 3 lines below that, the line begins with uzman. So we're saying that identifying the difference, the distinction between the oyer haseichel and the kli haseichel. The oyer is totally devoid of any of the metzius, of the tangibility of a cave. It's ruchni, and in that itself there are many different ways. He said, Malachim, they are masig, mehus, haruchni. The actual reality of the ruchni. It's difficult to identify, to find the word mehus. Essentially, if you were to, I just want to express the point. If you were to explain what is a davar gashmi, you will not contrast it to ruchni. You will just explain what gashmi is. You will not need to explain a gashmi, a real tangible thing. Say air is less gashmi.
Can I just interrupt Hassan to stay in one place? He's walking back and forth on the telephone.
Okay, yeah, sure. So, if you want to describe Gashmi, explain what is Gashmi, you will not have to resort to a methodology of comparisons. Like we say, a table, a piece of wood, is more Gashmi than air. And that will give you a better sense what a piece of wood is. You don't need to go there. What Gashmi is, you know what's called the mehus, not in contrast to something else, not its effect, but the reality of it, the gashmi. Ruchni, on the other hand, we only understand it in contrast to gashmi, or within ruchni itself, we understand the difference between one ruchni and another ruchni. In Gashmish itself, for example, if you were to describe what does silk feel like in contrast to wool, or in contrast to a rough wooden surface, again, you would say silk is very smooth. It does not roughen up your fingers when you're touching it. You won't have to resort to comparisons, because you have a direct understanding and that sense of what smoothness, gashmi smoothness is. But if you were to contrast seichel versus midas, for example, that becomes already pretty challenging. They're both ruchni. They're both in the person's mind or in the heart. In other words, it's something which is experienced rather than identified externally. Therefore, it becomes a real process of explaining what it is. And how do we ultimately explain it in contrast to one another? And in Seichel itself, we also go to great lengths to explain the difference between one Seichel and another Seichel.
Just to be clear, this word ruchni I'm translating spirituality. Is there a better word, or is there something we want to say about the meaning here, ruchni?
Ruchni means spiritual. Ruchni use is not spirituality. Ruchni use is spirituality.
Okay.
Ruchni is spiritual.
Okay. And this, we're probably still developing it, but right now we're kind of bringing
Let
up...
me explain to you why I commented like this. If a person is a Baal Taiva, he enjoys good food. This is enjoying good food. Taste is also a ruchnistic experience. There's no gashmi element in this. It's not something which is imposed on you because it's a double gashmi. Either you have taste or you don't have taste. Either you like the taste or you don't like the taste. If something hits you, then it hit you. You can't. You don't need to have the sensitivity to sense that something hit you. I told you, I think I mentioned a long time ago. I remember there was a Jewish newspaper. This is going back many, many decades. There used to be a Yiddish newspaper, the Tog Morgen Journal. Then it completely dissipated. So there were letters to the editor. So I once picked up, I was still a kid, picked up the letters from the editor. And the lady writes over there that we had our dinner, and after dinner we went to the theater, to the movies, whatever it is. What else does a person have in life but the little bit of ruchnistic satisfaction?
They use the word ruchni.
Ruchni, sure.
Right.
It's a Yiddish paper. Ruchnistic,
Sure.
Vergnügen. Vergnügen means satisfaction.
Okay.
Ruchnistic Vergnügen.
Vergnügen.
So this is also ruchni is the Vergnügen. It's a far cry from living AyinBase or from doing a mitzvah. Yet we are able to distinguish and understand in our seichel. Practically speaking, it is a ruchni zikabaginik. What gives us the understanding? No, but this is a misnomer. It's a misdirection of ruchnis. Why is it a misdirection of ruchnis? It is a ruchnis dike vergnügen. Because this ruchnis dike vergnügen is drawn, and it is there only because you enjoy the gashmis dike experience.
Is ruchni based on gashmi?
It is ruchni based on gashmi. It's drawn from the gashmi, independent on the gashmi.
It's abstracted. It's an abstract representation of gashmi.
It's a ruchnistic type of relationship to gashmis. Like we said, you have the host and you have the guest, and you have the food that transpires between them. If the host or the guest is focused on the food, it completely cancels out the whole ruchnistic significance, intellectual significance. Host and guest is intellectual, is a seichelic relationship. Like we said the other day, respect and dignity is a ruchnistic, is a seichelic. We cannot even project that an animal should have a sense of respect or dignity. and as I said, if you focus on the food, then you lose it. Even though it's also part of this interaction. But this interaction then is lost in the Gashmi rather than what motivates it, than what its seichelic quality is.
Okay.
So he's saying like this. The Malachim, they have a real hasoga in ruchnius, in mehus ruchnius, in the reality of ruchnius. We, as we are, we have neshamas, but our neshamas are mislabish in the goof, and we know only that which the seichel, which is mislabish in the brain. So only that which the brain filters through, that which the brain can tolerate, only that can we really understand, relate to. So that would not be mehus or ruchni. And as we're going to see, we do understand ruchni, but not mehus. Okay, let's continue. Okay, the line begins with what uzman. 4 lines from the Luchon Gimel. Surely the hasoga the neshama is having Gan Eden. Shemasi yemehus ruchnius. Where they are masik, they comprehend the mehus ruchni is the reality of the ruchnis itself. I wish to we're studying on one place, but I'd like to still, we should get a little bit more of a sense of what we're talking about. We identify colors with certain soul qualities. We say red represents gvura. Blue or green represents chesed. And it's interesting, it's a human phenomenon, a human factor, that green light means open, go. Red light means stop. And in between, hold it, watch out. And this is natural. We can relate to it quite readily. We don't have to learn this thing. This is natural. It reflected in our mind. Red is a color. It doesn't say stop and doesn't say go. It's a color. You can pass through a red light unknowingly and you get a ticket. The only way you find out about it, you got a ticket. But personally, you didn't feel any effect. Oh, I passed through a red light. How did I go through the wall? What is this that this is gvura and chesed and so forth? The gvura and chesed element is not a reflection of the mitzias of the light itself. It is what it represents, how calm it comes in the form of red and green. Now, but the midas of chesed and gvura, are midas only because they represent, they have a source, they emanate from the nefesh order. So gvura represents of how a person feels at the time when he says this. Chesed is how a person feels when he says this. Ultimately, the chesed and gvura are completely united, dependent on the human being who possesses them.
What's the point here? You might have thought, no. They have no independent mitzvahs.
They have no independent. That's right. They're not independent mitzvahs. This is so. To understand the mehus haruchni, you have to understand the mehus haruchni as it is in its place of existence, in its source. Everybody knows what red and green is. But do we understand the mehus of red and green? That really depends what your insight is. Whether you sense the Inyan of Chesed and Gvura in it, that's a mehus of red and green, or you just say they're different in colors. This is pshat mehus haruchni. The neshamis in Gan Eden, Malachim, even Malachim, Neshamis and Kolskim, Neshamis in Gan Eden, they understand mehus haruchni. But the Neshamis in Gan Eden relate directly to their Creator, to the presence, to the godly presence. Everything they see it in its true inference. And this is that they are massing mehus haruchni. What is this whole discussion about? To point out that what is the pshat seichel, or has seichel without the kli haseichel. The kli haseichel identifies a tangible element in the seichel. The Oir HaSeichel identifies the Neshama element in the Seichel.
Which is different levels.
It's a Seichel, pure Seichel, the Oir HaSeichel, or the Keli HaSeichel. Seichel is established in a keli. That is when the Seichel identifies the effect of it. Like, for example, I'm sorry, this is what comes in mind, so I'll leave here. The word shut up. The word shut up in itself says nothing, just like a red light. But if it comes from one human being to another, then it says a lot. Because then you relate it to its essence, to its source, rather than to the word itself. We just now learned that L'mayla it says stoik, kachol machshov. Stoik means shut up. Is that an affront? Is that an insult? To the contrary. It's a compliment. You have something which is beyond discussion, beyond understanding.
Okay.
So, listen, are you okay with this?
The point here, let's see. The point here is that the words have, the context makes the words. That
The context, yeah, that's right.
They do not have mitzvahs unto themselves. At first glance, you might have thought it was
One
abrupt.
second, no. When it comes in clear, in kelim, then it has real mitzvahs. But seichel, the pure seichel, doesn't have mitzvahs. Mehus seichel. The mehus haruchni doesn't have mitzvahs of its own. It's only how it reflects its source.
But if we go back to the shtok, kach ala. The point here is that there's some or haruchni that's dressed into this statement. It takes on this form, but even at that level, on the one hand, you could have thought it was abruptness. Then we learned into it that in fact it is an invitation.
That's
to
right,
see.
because this is not giving seichel in a kelim, in the purity of the seichel itself.
The statement, even though
The influence there is something greater than seichel in it.
yes. But again, it's left from or seichel. It's become a statement which would seem to be keli, but still that's got or.
That kelim does not represent the seichel at all.
Doesn't. Points to it something.
It doesn't even point to it. It is advising you. Wait, just wait. Don't even try to understand. The Shomes in Gan Eden, Masigi mehus ruchnis. Gan Eden is the place, if we can speak of it that way. Gan Eden is this place where the Shechina, the Rebbe, comes and is sitting together with the Neshamas and learning Torah. Shazayin Halima de Gan Eden. Okay, we have the place. At the end of the line that begins with uzman. Shazayin, and this is the principle of Halima de Gan Eden. the learning that takes place in Gan Eden. B'chol inyan, that whatever is learned in Gan Eden, in anything, b'bchinas haruchni shaboy. It is the ruchni's aspect in that inyan. Like we just now gave you the example, this is in Gashmis, but red, what is the ruchnius of red? Gvura. What is the ruchnius of green? Ruchnius, in other words, how that inyan is reflected coming from the nefesh is chesed. Totally different presence. She'an shomois, where the neshomes masigim mehus hadovo. The neshomes are in Gan Eden, and there the learning is the ruchni shebei, and there the neshomes are masig mehus hadovo, the actual reality of that in the ruchni's aspect itself. Whereas in contrast, the seichel that is in the moyach is already a physical keli for the seichel. That seichel, even though it's also seichel, and that is not masig, does not comprehend mehus haruchni, the reality of the ruchni klal at all. As we said before, the seichel that's in the moyach can only understand ruchnius in contrast. How it is different than another seichel. Not the mehus ruchni itself directly. Gashmi we understand directly, not in contrast to something else. We don't say Gashmi is I'm talking about Gashmi is not ruchni. It's completely off target.
And the reason there's no direct apprehension is because, like, we don't have the faculties to deal with it. We have a brain that is physical, and that's our highest faculty.
That's right. They cannot even conceptualize in the full sense of a ruchni presence. To the extent that if we should try and kind of apply ruchnis to our seichel, and say, oh, this is going into the imaginary level. Have to project something.
On the other hand, this level seems of great importance to us, and we kind of allude to it or sense it.
Because we are interested not in the understanding of it, but what it represents.
What's the distinction there? Not our understanding of what it represents.
What is a mitzvah?
Oh, to rather live in agreement rather than to grasp it.
We'll still, revisit this in many times, but it's just the moyach eine masik mehus ruchni klal is not masik mehus ruchni. Ruchni per se is a non-presence. Kiyim bebechinas mitzius lavad. What access, what connection do we have to ruchnis? The mitzius aspect of it. What is mitzius? Mitzius is known, I said, mitzius is known by contrast. We know that this is red and this is green, and in contrast to each other, they are different colors. But what does it mean? What does it represent? That we do not understand. And where the seichel that is in the brain is masig hamehus fully comprehends the reality hu b'davar gashmi. It is only in davar gashmi, in a gashmisike thing. There it is masig the mehus. If we put it in very simple terms, we have to go down. Very simple terms. Masig means that you comprehend it to the point where it registers in your mind, and you can walk away with it and you have it. This means masig. That's a masig. Masig the mehus means you fully understand the mehus. What is this about? What is, as we said, what is a table about? What is a car about? We don't need to be looking at it and know it only while we're looking at it. Because we have the sense of its reality. There you must get mehus. In the ruchni, we don't have the mehus. Only mitzias. something that we know only from Mitzias perspective. We only know while we are in His presence, while we are looking at it. Because we don't have its reality in our mind. When it is there in a contrast to something else, then we have it. What is red and green? Oh, they're different colors. Put them one next to the other, you'll see they're different. What are they in essence? So there's no difference. Okay, this is it for this morning.
Rabbi,
Have a great day. 1 second. Yeah.
You said earlier in the show that when we say shut up to somebody, we're not, even though it seems like an insult, really, in essence, it's not an insult. I didn't quite catch that.
The reason you didn't catch that is because it is an insult. But not the words themselves. Coming from the person, it's an insult. The words themselves are insignificant.